Local 4 News starts now with a breaking news alert.
The moniker of a child doesn't necessarily mean they're not capable of doing something very terrible to another person.
Big news this afternoon. The Oakland County Sheriff's Department announces an arrest is made after a string of home invasions and assaults that put the families who live in Pontiac and Detroit on edge. Now, the suspect in these break-ins, just 13 years old. 13. Police say some of the crimes he's accused of date back years, making him as young as 9 years old at the time. Now, I want you to go back to this area. Do you remember 2 days ago we shared this photo? At that time, police told us they thought the suspect was between the ages of 17 and 21. Now, police say the 13-year-old in custody is this person in the picture. We do have new information for you this afternoon. I want to share this map. Police tell us the teen is connected to 2 home invasions in Detroit and 9 in Pontiac. The most recent one, a 10-year-old girl who was held at knife point.
In terms of physical injuries, thank God we have very little. But obviously, the emotional impact, when you're a child in your bedroom, the most safe and secure thing at home, you know, there obviously has to be a process for them to deal with that trauma, that emotional trauma, that mental health trauma.
Sources are telling us this afternoon that teenager confessed to the crimes. Now, we first learned about the attack on the 10-year-old 3 days ago when the child's mother made a post on Facebook describing that frightening attack. Now, we spoke to that mom on Wednesday.
What if my daughter wasn't able to scream, you know? Or what if he would have went for my baby and she didn't know to scream? So all I can think about is everything that possibly could have went wrong.
Ahead at 5, you are going to hear from Sheriff Bouchard on what the boy's parents are saying about this arrest. Also, Erica Erickson is going to join us live. She's got a breakdown of those accusations this teen is facing. Okay, we're getting a live look right now. Let's go up north at Lake Michigan in Grand Haven this afternoon. There's a lot of snow on the ground for folks up there. Look at that. It's really pretty, though. Look at me. I'm always like trying to see the nice. You know, it is gorgeous. Brian Sherman joins us now. Here at home, the sun is shining.
Sun is shining. Some much needed sunshine. Yeah. But we have some winter weather on way for the weekend. Good news, though. We have dialed back the forewarned weather alert now for Saturday, as we've had continued changes in the data to where it doesn't look like we're going to get as much snow as we were forecasting right now heading into the first half of the weekend. Tower cam over downtown Detroit. Lots of sunshine. Much needed blue skies today. But it is still cold outside despite that sunshine, sitting at 28 degrees here in Detroit with that west wind at about 10 miles an hour. Wind chills are into the upper teens and lower 20s, so you still need that winter gear as you head outside this afternoon and into this evening. High pressure down to the south, giving us the much needed break from any winter weather today after the busy weather week. We will see a little more cloud cover increase overnight tonight and into tomorrow morning. Temperatures dropping to the low end of the 20s by the time we get to midnight tonight. Our next round of winter weather rolls in tomorrow. That will have some impact, but not as big of an impact as what we were originally looking for the past few days before we get a little bit of a break into early next week. And yet more snow chances move in by the time we get to the middle of next week as well. I'll break down what you can expect in your complete forewarned forecast coming up in just a few minutes. Karen.
Thank you, Brian. Now, right now, we're getting some answers about what happened during a deadly home invasion that has really shaken the area around Sorrento and 7 Mile. Sean Lay, live at Detroit Police Headquarters. The victim here, his son was killed. And Sean, he said he wanted to share with you exactly what happened.
He did. We spoke inside his home. I'll share with you his thoughts here in just a moment. We backed off. He doesn't want to become a target again. Doesn't want much attention back in that neighborhood around 7 Mile and Sorrento. Let me show you the video here, though, however, and we are getting answers as to what happened. Here's the deal. The neighborhood up there absolutely shaken about what happened. 4 men were waiting outside a home on Sorrento. In fact, we've been hearing from folks this afternoon saying they saw the men in hoods and masks walking down the street and then standing kind of around the front yard of a house and then moving towards the victim's house. 4 men waiting outside the home. A father came in with his son, the 19-year-old. That's when the father says the men rushed in. The father and son simply bringing in McDonald's for the evening around 9 last night. They rush in. The father was beaten. He lost several teeth. He showed his mouth to me. He's missing several teeth on the right-hand side of his mouth. He's bloody. He also lost his son here. When he heard a gunshot fired in another room of their home as all this was unfolding. Listen closely.
Internally.
Internal bleeding.
That it went through his lung, went through his, went down into his abdomen. There's something they say this one does.
Why would they shoot? 19 years old.
I don't have the slightest idea.
I'm so sorry for your loss.
Extremely sorry for that man's loss. He's, of course, in shock, but wanted to get the word out about this happening. He says the men were demanding drugs, cash, and jewelry. None of that, he says, was in the house whatsoever. Didn't recognize the guys. 4 of them, again, dressed in black. We also went door to door there, Karen, looking for video. There's several cameras in that block. We understand DPD is working with what could be very helpful video at this hour right now. They're working this case hard. When they have something for us, we'll certainly get it out to you right away. We're live downtown. Sean Lay, Local 4. Karen.
Sure hope so. That poor father. All right. Thank you, Sean. Well, it is called, quote, Keeping Men Out of Women's Sports Executive Order. Now, the order signed by President Trump this week bars transgender women and girls from competing in female sports. The NCAA has now updated its policy to align with the executive order, but the MHSAA is awaiting further guidance before changing its policy. Will Jones, working the story, joins us now live from a Detroit tennis court to give us a little bit more perspective on this. Will?
Well, Karen, right now the MHSAA only requires trans girls to request waivers to participate in. So far this current school year, only 2 waivers were granted out of more than 170,000 student athletes who participate within the association. As for that executive order, here's what we're learning. The association released a statement saying the MHSAA is awaiting further guidance as to potential conflicts between Wednesday's executive order and Michigan's Elliott-Larsen Civil Rights Act. By the way, that state law bans discrimination on such things as gender and sexual identity. In the executive order, it says many educational institutions and athletic associations have allowed men to compete in women's sports, denying women and girls the opportunity to participate and excel in competitive sports. The order rescinds all federal funds from educational programs that deprive women and girls fair athletic opportunities. I spoke with a University of Michigan law professor this afternoon about the conflict between federal and state law.
So when it comes to a conflict between a state law and a federal law, the rule is that the federal law is supreme, to use the words of the Constitution, the Supremacy Clause. But there's a big if there. The federal law has to be itself enacted pursuant to like a valid grant of authority under the Constitution. And
when I said federal law, I was meaning the executive order. We're going to have much more on this story coming up at 5:30. Reaction from Equality Michigan and the ACLU of Michigan. Again, that is coming up at 5:30. We are live on Detroit's East Side. Will Jones, Local 4.
All right, we appreciate it. Thank you, Will. Well, there is some controversy this afternoon surrounding the execution of a Michigan man in Alabama. 52-year-old Demetrius Frazier was pronounced dead last night after being put to death using nitrogen gas. Frazier was serving a life sentence here in Michigan for murder before he was transferred to death row in Alabama for a separate case. In his last words, Demetrius Frazier criticized Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer for not returning him to Michigan. This was only the 4th time in history when someone was executed by nitrogen.
We did see movement. The movement was a lot less than the other 3 we've had. As y'all could see, he was kind of swirling his wrist. That didn't last very long, so we think that was an indication when he lost consciousness. But that's from where we were sitting. I mean, we had the same view as you, so he possibly lost consciousness pretty quick.
Critics claim nitrogen hypoxia kills by causing conscious suffocation. Alabama is one of only 3 states where nitrogen can be used for executions, but it is the only state that has used it.